On the news hour tonight, Kano poultry farmers shut down operations over rising cost of production. Abducted Ekiti school children, teachers regain freedom. World Health Organization warns of rising cancer cases in this year's message on World Cancer Day. And away from Nigeria, ECOWAS raises concerns after Senegal postpones presidential elections indefinitely. Many thanks for joining us on the News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Sagir Ibrahim. Poultry farmers in Kano State have begun shutting down operations due to the high cost of poultry feeds and supplements. In this report, Trust TV's correspondent Idris Jabrin takes a look at poultry farming in Kano State amidst the increase in the price of poultry products as Muslims prepare for this year's fasting. Here's this report.
This is one of the few operational poultry farms in Kano, where a little above 8,000 chickens lay eggs for consumption, but at a high price.
Egg is a product. And when you talk about egg, there are like 4 items which determine the price of egg. But number one key factor for determining egg price is the cost of feed.
The high cost in prices of chicks and poultry feeds are gradually pushing poultry farms out of business in this part of the country.
From 1st December to 21st December, the price of feed per bag have increased 7 times, but farmers can only increase it once. If you look at this year, from 1st January to here, adding on what we have reached in December, a bag of feed, 1,400 naira is added. And if a chicken eats a bag of feed, can only produce not more than 5 crates of egg. So when you have increase by 1,400, you are expected to add 250 naira to each crate, which all we did was to add 100 naira.
According to farmers, prices of poultry products have gone up, where a crate of egg is now sold at 3,000 naira, as a single raw egg costs about 130 naira.
Maize is running into 560,000 naira per ton as we speak now. And it's not readily available everywhere you agree to pay that price. We are at the peak of harvest. In fact, we are in on-season now of agricultural products. But unfortunately, the prices, they are so high and they are not affordable. They are not friendly to the poultry farmers.
High cost of maize, soya, and other additives are believed to be responsible for high increase in the price of eggs. Other factors include foreign exchange, which these farmers say is making it almost impossible for them to remain in business. However, poultry farmers say if the government will subsidize the cost at which they buy poultry feeds and supplement, the price of eggs will drastically reduce.
If government didn't do anything to bring in maize or to subsidize for the farmers or to give some grant, more farms are going to close. Any farmer is praying so that this maize will go down. The moment government intervened, last year we had a short of 400,000 metric tons of maize. All what government need, bring this maize, subsidize to the farmers. We are home and dry.
And the reason for that is just because of the massive exportation of the commodity out of the country. Even like the sorghum and the maize, the grains, the cereal grains generally, they are also finding their way through export out of this country, particularly through the northern border into Niger and maybe the surrounding African countries.
While the price of chickens and eggs continue to skyrocket, there are growing concerns that it may worsen in the weeks, especially as demand surge ahead of the Ramadan fast in March this year. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
So on the cost of living, residents of Asaba, the Delta State capital, have raised concerns about the escalating cost of essential drugs. They argue that local drug production would not only lower prices but also enhance accessibility. Well, a cross-section of residents have expressed distress over the soaring foreign exchange rates, noting that this trend is pushing the cost of drugs and medical supplies beyond the means of the average citizen. Jonathan Awanye completes the story.
Due to the worsening economic conditions in Nigeria, residents said they are unable to afford pharmaceutical products, particularly for patients treating life-threatening diseases such as diabetes.
Because the drugs that they are prescribing for people today, those that you buy for 3,500 naira, you go to the pharmacies or to the chemist, you see them now 15,000, 20-something thousand. It is not a good time to be sick in Nigeria. And to even make the matter worse, must we import everything? Drugs are being imported in Nigeria. They say what they are using. Nigeria is blessed and endowed with a lot of things. We have our health. I think if I may able give it's time to go back to our herbal medicines and all that. But Nigerians should look at how they can invest on our pharmaceutical companies, how they can do more research so that some of these drugs and everything can be produced right here in Nigeria.
Work and look into, because the hike up in prices is affecting a lot of things in this country. Common man cannot even afford drugs to treat his or herself. So, to me, you can convey the message, let governments look at what to do about it so that things can all go well for the common man.
Many have argued that while the country continues to worry over shortage of local investors and high cost of imported drugs, few surviving manufacturers are shutting down. However, some health workers who spoke off camera blamed the rise in the price of drugs on the depreciation of the naira and the exit of foreign pharmaceutical companies like GSK in Nigeria. Jonathan Awaye, Trust TV News, Asaba.
And away from the cost of living, residents and youth of Rigachukun community in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State protested on Sunday against security agents' alleged killing of a trader in the community. The deceased was allegedly hit by a stray bullet fired by security operatives while closing his shop, as violence erupted on Saturday at a nearby polling unit during the rerun election. Trust TV's Bello Musa completes this report.
The victim, identified as Mansuru, was allegedly shot by a stray bullet and was later pronounced dead at Barodiko Teaching Hospital. After the burial of the deceased on Sunday morning, angry youth in Rigachukun blocked the Kaduna Zaria Road, demanding justice over the killing of Mansur Aliyu Bako. Maruf Abdurrahman is an eyewitness who alleged that it was security operatives at the venue that fired the shot to disperse the crowd.
Around 4 p.m. we are there. I'm eyewitness during that thing was happening. And some part of the securities that they were appointed to go to handle to take care about the election revolution. Yes. So on that way, one of them was shoot and made kill that man. And that
Abubakar Lawal was together with the deceased at his shop before he was shot.
Hospital, I saw him, he's bleeding. I saw him by myself. There is a picture here. I saw him bleeding. I cry a lot. He's a good person, honest person, trustworthy. Many people like him. He don't used to fight with anybody. He don't used to quarrel with anybody. He don't even used to engage himself into politics.
Zulay Abdullahi could not hold back her tears as she demands justice over the death of her son.
I spoke with him on the phone, informing him about the wedding in the family, and he promised to send his contribution. I told him I would come and see him, then the news of his sudden death came to me.
The doctors at the hospital did everything to save his life, but it was too late, and he gave up. Leaving her with one daughter, Mansur's wife, Sepia Usman, is traumatized after the killing of her husband.
I am traumatized. He left the house saying he would be back, but I was later told that he was shot. The next thing I saw was his lifeless body. We need justice, and because we won't forgive whoever killed him, God will avenge for us. He was very patient.
Contacted via phone, the State Police Command Public Relations Officer ASP Mansour Hassan confirmed the incident but said the Commissioner of Police Audi Ali Dabigi had ordered an immediate investigation into the incident. Bella Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
An unfortunate situation there. However, amidst the aftermath of recent crises in Jos, victims are making a heartfelt appeal to the Bauchi state government for acceptance and resettlement as permanent residents have escaped the turmoil that unfolded in Mangu and Bokos. These displaced individuals expressed their plea while gratefully receiving relief materials distributed by the state government aimed at alleviating their hardship. Trust TV's Adamu Imam files in this report.
Remaining in anguish, hundreds of victims from the carnage in Mangu and Bokos have sought refuge in communities in neighboring Bauchi, where they have been integrated as internally displaced persons. Malam Ibrahim Abdullahi, a leader from Mangu, shares the harrowing experiences of over 100 individuals who fled their homes. Narrating their ordeal, Aisha and Fa explain how they found solace in communities such as Birshin Fulani and Marabal Liman Katagum in Bauchi State. We are honestly appealing to be allowed to stay here as residents without further delay. The Plateau State government has not offered condolence since we fled our homes to Bauchi. Therefore, we extend our profound gratitude to the people of Bauchi and the Commissioner. Please convey our appreciation to Governor Bala Muhammad. May Allah reward him and grant him more courage for providing assistance to us. Unexpectedly, the crisis erupted, and we don't know what happened to the extent that they killed our people. We ran helter-skelter. Our neighbors are unaware of the whereabouts of his 2 wives, and I too have 3 children, and their father also died. The displaced persons convey their gratitude for the assorted food and relief materials distributed by Hajia Hajarawanka, the commissioner in charge of the State Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management. This support, backed by the State Emergency Management Agency, brought a sense of happiness to those affected. Simultaneously, a community leader who played a crucial role in integrating them expressed thanks to the state government for its assistance to the internally displaced persons in his area. While appreciating the support received, he appealed for additional aid to further alleviate their challenges faced by the displaced community. We cannot say otherwise, but things are very difficult now, ranging from a lack of food to a shortage of blankets and clothes. At that time, only 1 cloth was available. Now that the government has promptly come to see them and brought relief materials, we are short of words. We express immense gratitude to God Almighty and Bauchi State Governor for this generous gesture. The federal government has recently issued instructions to security agents urging them to identify and apprehend the perpetrators of the recent crisis in Jos. The directive emphasizes the need for thorough investigations and subsequent legal actions against those responsible for the arrests. Adami Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And gunmen suspected to be Boko Haram fighters attacked Kukareta village along Maiduguri Road in Damaturu local government area of Yobe State, killing 2 construction workers and kidnapping 3 grasshopper hunters. The terrorists, who shot sporadically for about an hour, also razed the district head's house and his 504 Peugeot car. The abducted hunters were handcuffed and taken in the vehicle of vigilantes parked at the district head's house. The police have evacuated the remains of the construction workers to a specialist hospital in Damaturu. Also, the kidnapped school children of Apostolic Faith Group of Schools, Emure Ekiti in Ekiti State, and their teachers have been released, marking the end of their harrowing 7-day ordeal. The victims regained their freedom around 2 a.m. on Sunday. In a brief video clip, the freed pupils and their teachers sat on the floor looking tired as a mother lamented the condition of her child in the background. The abductors had earlier demanded 100 million naira for the release of the victims. However, it is not immediately clear if a ransom was eventually paid. The incident occurred when a school bus carrying pupils and staff members of the school was ambushed by gunmen on Monday evening. About 10 occupants of the bus, including 5 school children, 3 teachers, and the driver were abducted and whisked away. Despite earlier rumors of their release on Saturday, which the police debunked, the children and teachers have now been successfully reunited with their families. Troops from 114 Battalion of 6th Brigade Nigerian Army in conjunction with other security forces have rescued 4 kidnapped victims from a mountaintop in Taraba State. Similarly, several other kidnapped victims fled the den during the exchange of fire between the troop and the bandits. The troop also destroyed the kidnappers' den and other hideouts used by bandits that raided several villages and abducted many people, including women and children, in parts of Yorozing and Jalingo local government areas in recent times. Lieutenant Oni Olubodunde, the Acting Assistant Director, Public Relations, 6th Army Brigade, Jalingo, said in a statement that the ongoing joint operation successfully destroyed multiple bandits' hideouts and rescued 4 kidnapped victims, including the son of the chief of Kwaji Kingdom. He said the operation is still ongoing to ensure that other kidnapped victims who fled the area during the exchange of fire are found and reunited with their loved ones. The Army spokesman gave the names of the rescued kidnapped victims as Genesis Samuel, age 24, from Ganku village, Bernard Dennis, age 28, from Fulfalgon village, Esther Titus, age 35, from Kosane village, and the son of the chief of Kwaji in Pupule, Ismail Umar, age 25, who was abducted at his residence on the 18th of January 2024. And in politics, the Inter-Party Advisory Council has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to investigate the sudden disappearance of ballot papers during the Saturday rerun election in Plateau State. IPAC urged INEC to identify and prosecute those responsible for the theft, emphasizing that failure to do so would encourage electoral fraud. During a stakeholder meeting with INEC officials in Jos, party leaders led by IPAC State Chairman Abubakar Dogara insisted that those behind the missing ballot papers should face prosecution. INEC's resident electoral commissioner in Plateau State, Dr. Oliver Agundu, assured that the commission would ensure a thorough investigation to address the concerns raised. Similarly, INEC has declared the by-election for Jalingo Yorozing Federal Constituency held on Saturday as inconclusive. Professor Daniel Ayuba of the Federal University, Wukari, the returning officer for the election, declared the inconclusiveness due to the total number of collected PVCs in areas where the election was cancelled, outnumbering the margin of victory. Ayuba stated that Tafida Sadiq, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, scored a total of 17,214 votes, while the first runner-up, Innocent Jabayang of the Social Democratic Party, polled 15,537 votes with a difference of 1,677 votes. According to the Electoral Act, if the margin of victory is less than the voted number of collected PVCs in the areas where the election is cancelled, the result cannot be declared. The margin of victory is less than the total number of collected PVCs in the area where the election did not hold, or was cancelled. Consequently, the election is inconclusive and a rerun would be held in the respective areas only between the candidate with the highest votes and the first runner-up. The by-election aimed to fill the vacancy created by the death of Ismaila Mehanchi, who won the February 23, 2023 general election for the constituency but passed away before the swearing-in. Similarly, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared Shitu Ibrahim of the All Progressives Congress as winner of Saturday's State House of Assembly rerun election for Saki West State Constituency in Oyo State. The returning officer for Saki West State Constituency, Professor Olushola Oyewo, from the University of Ibadan, declared the results at the INEC Coalition Center in Saki West local government. He said that Mr. Ibrahim scored 13,850 votes to beat his closest opponent, Julius Okedoyin of the People's Democratic Party, who polled 13,670. Meanwhile, the resident electoral commissioner, Dr. Adeniran Taylor, who monitored the rerun election, commended the seamless conduct of the exercise and also gave reasons for the rerun election. The election, which was called for a rerun by a court order after allegations of some irregularities in the general election of March 18 last year, initially witnessed some unrest, and officials were concerned that tempers could boil over possible manipulation of results.
That Shitu Ibrahim Aremu of the APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and returned elected. Dated this day, 3rd day of February 2024.
The reason behind the conducting of this election is that the first one is the cancellation of the election in Ward 11 PU019 as a result of overvoting. And the second reason based on the bypass of the rivers where it did not take place in Ward 007 and PU06.
As early as 7 a.m. our people have been on the queue up till when the INEC officers came around. And ever since the commencement of this process, it has been very peaceful. There is every presence of security men, starting from the military men, the soldiers, the police force, and the officers of the DSS. So far so good. Everything has been peaceful.
The run was ordered, and then we had the election today, and then the same people that voted me in the first place said they are going to repeat what they have done earlier, and then today they repeated what they've done earlier. So I'm very, very grateful with them.
The news hour on Trust TV. Still to come. In the midst of growing security challenges, we tell the story of a community living without a police outpost for years. This and many other stories after the break. Join us again.
Hello and welcome to Creative Lounge on Trust.
We started manufacturing leather since 1958. But the most important thing is that if the system is checked correctly, we won't have where we are now.
If somebody has depression, they may just be very irritable and unproductive in the office. So you find on average already about 1 in 4, 1 in 5 Nigerians already have mental illness, a mental health condition that needs some form of attention.
No matter how good an economy is, if the federal government goes bust, believe me, everything in the economy is just a matter of time it will go bust. So first of all, about maybe slightly above, below 70% is in federal government securities.
If government has banned importation of fertilizer and states are doing it at the level of governance, but I believe that production and distribution of fertilizer should be left to the private sector.
This is the general multi-purpose card and it has a chip here. So this chip is about 80 kilobytes. The one that you get from the bank for ATM is just 4 kilobytes. So this is like 20 times.
What NAFDAC is doing is making sure we are safeguarding the health of the nation.
80 million people have been accounted for that have glaucoma worldwide.
The Nutrition Society of Nigeria is laying emphasis on exclusive breastfeeding of our babies.
The incidence of kidney disease in children has also been rising, with an estimated 1 in 10 Nigerian children affected.
And that sometimes those products contain things that could harm you more than you would expect. So you would have long-term damage which could affect your health over time.
Intermittent fasting indeed is beneficial.
Hello viewers, welcome to another episode of Adam's Kitchen on Trust TV. Try grating it. I am going to show you how to prepare a Singaporean chicken rice. Like this. Back here and get my carrots ready. Put in some amount of oil on the skin. I will now go ahead and take off the chicken, spread it to a desired shape.
Thanks for staying with the News Hour on Trust TV. Now, here are some of the major stories making headlines. Kano poultry farmers shut down operation over rising cost of production. And abducted Ekiti school children, teachers regain freedom. To other stories now. For this year's World Cancer Day, the World Health Organization has warned that global cancer cases are projected to surge to 35 million by 2050, a 77% increase from 2022. The rise is attributed to factors such as population aging, growth, and changes in risk exposure. Key contributors include tobacco, alcohol, obesity, and environmental factors like air pollution. Approximately 1 in 5 people will face cancer in their lifetime, with lifestyle changes and routine medical checks emphasized as crucial. But Dr. Arwa Simeon, an oncologist at the National Hospital, Abuja, have a listen.
Now, my question to you is, if we must close the care gap, how do we address inequalities surrounding access to care?
Okay. Well, one of the problems we have is in terms of the gap between the high-income countries and the low-income countries in terms of access to cancer care. And also the major cases is the kind of budgetary allocation to healthcare, in which cancer treatment is one of them. So in terms of priority, the priority for most low-income countries, because of their peculiar environment and their peculiar challenges, allocation to health is quite poor. And that means that access to care, getting the necessary machinery, getting the necessary experts, getting the necessary infrastructure, machines, and otherwise is quite challenging. So in that case, it will be very, very difficult for a cancer patient to undergo all through the process of screening, diagnosis, treatment, and follow-up, as well as palliative care. So that is the greatest challenge we have. So if there's anything we are going to do, it's about starting from budgetary allocation to health, then looking for the right tools in which human resources is one of them, then the equipment and as well as infrastructure in order to strengthen our health sector.
What would you advise should be preventive measures to be adopted by populations in low human development index that are at higher risk of developing cancers and at much higher risk of dying from this disease?
One of the things I will suggest is about what we call health-seeking behavior and the ability to integrate our health system in such a way that the referral system is very, very effective, so that as soon as any diagnosis of cancer is made, it is referred to appropriate center for early screening, diagnosis, treatment, and follow-up. It is because of the time lag between the time of diagnosis, the time of treatment, and time of follow-up that normally result in a patient having advanced disease or having what we call incurable cancer. In that case, most patients feel that cancer is not curable, but in majority of cancers are curable if they are diagnosed early through screening and early detection. Looking at this lifestyle modification and increasing awareness, those are the two key things that we're going to do. Lifestyle modification, it means that some of the predisposing factors such as obesity, air pollution, that's environmental pollution, infection like HIV, hepatitis B viral infection, human papillomavirus infection that causes cervical cancer. As you know, cervical cancer is one of the most common preventable cancer, and also vaccine responsive. Then we talk about the one that are hereditary, in which case some breast cancers, in that case, and colon cancers, and equally pancreatic cancers. In that case, families that are already diagnosed of this disease should equally make themselves available for screening tests. So these are part of the preventive measures that are available.
Trust TV's Aisha Sadiu there in an interview with Dr. Arua Simeon. Moving on, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Makurdi Zonal Command, has successfully dismantled a child trafficking syndicate, leading to the rescue of 5 victims and the arrest of 8 suspects. By Gloria Iverian, the zonal commander of NAPTIP Makurdi Zonal Command, revealed on Saturday that the operation was initiated following a distress call from a mother searching for her twin children, only to discover they were allegedly sold in December 2023. She revealed that NAPTIP operatives have been conducting meticulous surveillance and rescue operations across Makurdi metropolis. Investigations uncovered a modus operandi where the syndicate targeted vulnerable homes, including IDP camps, posing as helpers for education sponsorship. Iverian explained that the suspects exploited the trust of unsuspecting families acquiring children and subsequently selling them for sums ranging between 50,000 naira and 900,000 naira per child. The transactions were disguised as adoptions. All rescued victims have been successfully reunited with their families, and legal proceedings against the suspects are currently underway. A large consignment of Ghanaian loud, a strong strain of cannabis sativa, has been intercepted by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency at the Ojuelegba area of Lagos in the early hours of Sunday, January 28th. NDLEA, which announced the seizure in a statement on Sunday, February 4th, said the Ghanaian loud was smuggled into Lagos from Ghana, loaded in 2 trucks and a J5 bus with a total weight of 14,524.8 kilograms. A 66-year-old driver and a wanted drug baron, Suleiman Jimo, were arrested, NDLEA spokesman Femi Babafemi said. According to the statement, in the last 3 years, NDLEA operatives have seized several shipments of the sample psychoactive substance worth billions of naira linked to Temo. The wanted drug lord has since gone into hiding while the agency continues its manhunt for him. In Kaduna, NDLEA operatives captured a male deaf and dumb suspect dealing in illicit substances in the Samaru area of Zaria. At the time of his arrest, the agency said 150 grams of cannabis were recovered from him while selling the psychoactive substance. And here in Abuja, the FCT Department of Development Control has issued a quit notice to Yankaswa Market along the N16 road corridor in Gwarimpa with a directive to vacate by Wednesday as clearance operations are set to commence on Thursday. During a meeting with stakeholders, including representatives of the Traders Union, Director Mukhtar Galadima explained that the contractor and the contract for the comprehensive development of the arterial road had been awarded by the FCT administration. And despite engagement since September, the traders continually requested more time leading to the ultimatum. Galadima emphasized that the delay caused by the traders' refusal could impact the scheduled execution of the contract, resulting in rising material costs and potential demands for contract variation contrary to the administration's policy. Mohammed, the secretary of the Traders Union, acknowledged the 20-year operation of the market and expressed gratitude for the invitation. In a separate incident, the department demolished a structure in the Karmo district for obstructing a floodplain. Garba Jibril, an official of the department, highlighted the developers' resistance, including enlisting policemen to impede enforcement duties on the estate. And in Bayelsa State, residents in Yenagoa metropolis are sharing mixed reactions regarding the performance of the Governor Duye Diri-led administration in the environmental sector. Trust TV's correspondent Friday, Ebimoboe Peter, explores public opinions on the government's environmental track record. Take a look.
Bayelsa has over the years struggled with enormous challenges in environmental protection, which has become a major public interest for citizens in the state. Some of the residents who spoke to Trust TV News say the government has improved its effort in public waste disposal while calling for a robust approach in addressing other challenges.
From my own point of view, he did well because in the place that they are putting those bin, the waste bin aspect is parking the people that he put in charge over the parking those bin. They are doing the work well, because if you are passing the metropolis, you are not seeing those bin littered all over the state. But for the people that he put in charge of the gutter during the sanitation day, they are not doing their work. They are just holding people that are passing by.
Does bin full small time don't come back am. Even the security itself in the try. So in try.
David Siasia and residents is calling for increased focus on the environmental sector, and the second tenor emphasizing the need for a proper drainage system in the Yenagoa metropolis.
We always get flood problem in Bayelsa. Please, for the drainage, let all the drainage be leaked into the the big river side, so that we cannot be having all those standing water that cause mosquitoes. But let him make sure that in the second tenor, this environmental sector concerning the drainage, let them work toward the drainage. Because when you enter some street, you will find out that's not flood, just a rain, but people house will be flooded. 2 days, 3 days, you will see people using a generator to be drawing water out of their houses, and it's very bad for a state Bayelsa.
Residents have highlighted flooding as a prevalent issue in the state, urging the government to take decisive measures to prevent further occurrence. From Yenagoa, Friday, Ebimoboe Peter, Trust TV News, Yenagoa.
Imagine a life where there are no security personnel safeguarding life and property. In Takwa community of Dawakinkudu local government area of Kano State, this imagination is a stark reality. Takwa, just a few kilometers away from the bustling metropolitan areas of Kano City, finds itself in a precarious situation. While Salim Ibrahim brings us the story revealing that the community has been without a police station for an extended period of time. His report.
The community, located some few kilometers not far away from the metropolitan area of Kano City, are in dire need of security presence as the community expands to becoming a town on its own, being one of the biggest and bubbling places across the local government area. Sakwa is a popular community of the Dawakinkudu local government area, located in the southern part of the state, sharing boundaries with Kombozo and Wudil. It has a population of over 23,000 people, whom are largely farmers and businessmen working round the clock and all season to make ends meet. The community is known for hatching countless Islamic religion teachers, as it is blessed with knowledgeable individuals of high repute. Knowledge seekers from far and wide have sought for Islamic religious knowledge from one Al-Ramma or the other in Zakwa town. Lamenting on how the non-presence of police is affecting livelihoods, Umar Saja said the absence of police operatives in the community has fueled more crimes, especially among young people in the area. Whatever complaint we have to report to the Wachinkudu, and that takes a long time. Most of the time, up to 2 hours before they arrive. Recently, armed robbers were here, and it was the residents that chased them away, and they escaped through the bush. Just a week ago, there was robbery in some households. The people of Zakwa are much. In the entire Dawakinkud local government, there is no community that matches our population. But we don't have a police station. Well, we need it, because we don't need violence. We need peace of mind. We often have crises here and there, but before we engage the police, it's a heavy tax, and the perpetrators have escaped.
Whenever anything happens, we used to go the Wakinkudu, our local government, that is our local government, and call police to come and arrest the culprit. If anything happened, like conflicts, so we used to go there and call the police to come and start investigating and know who is victims and who is not.
The residents are calling on the government to come to their aid, as according to them, security is one thing that have been clamoring for years immemorial. Having a police station here is very important because we know its advantages to us. Meanwhile, owing to the dire need for the more security presence in the community for years, a community development group, Zakwa Muparka, have sought for the approval of the local government council to paint a shop that will serve as a police outpost. The shop, located within a neighborhood, has been painted with police colors since 2023 and awaiting police officers to be deployed there. Lack of police presence in a neighborhood can have several impacts on the safety and general livelihood of residents, which include increased crime rates, slower emergency response, reduced deterrence, community fear, and digitalism. Other negative effects also include having a negative economic impact, social disruption, inequity, quality of life, among others. Salim Umar Ibrahim, reporting for Trust TV.
Our sights and scenes from Zakwa community as presented by Salim. Thank you, Salim, for the report. Determined to bring down the crime rate in Rivers State, the police command has trained more of its personnel in riot handling and tactical combat readiness to strengthen their job performance in the line of duty. The 3-week training is coming barely a month when the command also trained over 50 officers in arms handling to address the increasing wave of illegal arms in the command. State Commissioner of Police Olatunji Disu expressed confidence that personnel who benefited from the training were now equipped to confront any riot and criminal activities that promote disorder and breakdown of law in the society. He promised that the command, through the state government and the IGP, would provide the needed equipment to enhance the performance of the police in the state.
That the outcome of the training of these officers who have been here for the past 3 weeks, polishing their trade, their profession. They have gone around all our police stations to ensure that our men are trained on this drill. I'm so happy at the outcome. You can see the swiftness, and you can see the readiness, and you can see the morale of the officers very, very high. They are waiting to go. All over the nation, you can see what is happening at the moment. We have our own peculiar situation here in the River State. The officers have been trained in riot drills and tactical combat formation exercises. I'm sure they are looking forward to putting this into practice. We have a lot of situations that that training and skills are highly needed, and the officers are waiting to go.
The First Yobe civilian governor, Senator Bukar Abba Ibrahim, passed away at the age of 75 at Saudi General Hospital in Makkah, Saudi Arabia on Sunday. The late senator served as Yobe State Governor from January 1992 to November 1993 during the Nigerian Third Republic. He was re-elected and sworn in on May 29, 1999 and served 2 terms under the All Nigeria People's Party (ANPP). Subsequently, Bukar Abba was elected as senator representing Yobe East in 2007, a position he held until 2019 when he stepped down for the current Minister of Police Affairs, Ibrahim Gaidam. He left behind 2 wives, 17 children and grandchildren. Yusuf Ali, one of his personal assistants, confirmed that the deceased passed away while receiving treatment for a protracted illness in Saudi Arabia and will be buried there. Governor Maimala Buni expressed deep regret over the passing of Senator Bukar Abba Ibrahim, directing that all funeral arrangements and condolences be handled by the state government to accord the late governor a state burial and honor. Condolences are to be received at the state government house and mosque masjid in Damaturu. And the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has called on President Bola Tinubu to investigate allegations that the $3.4 billion loan obtained from the International Monetary Fund, which it said is missing, diverted or unaccounted for. In a statement on Sunday, SERAP specifically requested President Tinubu to direct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, and appropriate anti-corruption agencies to promptly probe the allegations. The call follows the 2020 annual audited report published last week by the Auditor General of the Federation, revealing damning revelations, including the absence of documents showing the movement and spending of the IMF loan. SERAP's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare, emphasized the legitimate public interest in ensuring justice and accountability for these serious allegations. The group urged prompt investigation, prosecution of suspects, and the recovery of any missing IMF loan to the public treasury. Also, Nigeria is currently witnessing a national blackout as the national grid has collapsed. Daily Trust reports that the grid collapsed around 11:21 a.m. on Sunday. The situation led to shutdown of all 20 power plants except Ibom Power with 31 megawatts. While confirming the incident, the management of Abuja Electricity Distribution PLC (AEDC) said the power outage was as a result of a system failure from the national grid at 11:21 hours today, 4th February 2024, which has led to a nationwide power outage. While appealing for patience among its customers, it assured that it is working with the relevant stakeholders to restore power as soon as the grid is stabilized. Away from Nigeria, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has called on the Senegalese authorities to promptly select a new date for the presidential elections, which were indefinitely postponed by President Macky Sall. The ECOWAS Commission expressed concerns over the circumstances leading to the postponement and urged Senegal to expedite the processes for a new election date. Emphasizing the importance of dialogue and collaboration for a transparent and credible election, ECOWAS encouraged President Sall to uphold Senegal's democratic tradition. The Commission committed to monitoring the situation in Senegal, emphasizing the need for a swift resolution to the electoral matters. Also, Namibian President Hage Geingob has died at the age of 82. His office has said less than 3 weeks after it was announced he would undergo treatment for cancer. Geingob died on Sunday at Lady Pohamba Hospital in the capital, Windhoek, with his wife and children at his side. Acting President Nangolo Mbumba said in a statement posted on Geingob's official Facebook page. Mbumba said the Namibian nation has lost a distinguished servant of the people, a liberation struggle icon, the chief architect of the constitution and the pillar of the Namibian House. Geingob's office announced last month that he had begun treatment following the discovery of cancerous cells during a routine colonoscopy and gastroscopy. The announcement did not provide details of the African leader's diagnosis or prognosis, but said he would continue to carry out his presidential duties. Gengop, who also served a 12-year stint as prime minister, had a history of health problems that preceded his election as Namibia's third president in 2014. Also, numerous casualties were reported in overnight Israeli strikes across the Gaza Strip on Sunday following Hamas' announcement that it needed more time to consider a proposal for a ceasefire in the besieged Palestinian territory. The health ministry in Hamas-run Gaza disclosed that at least 27,365 people have been killed with 66,660 wounded in Israeli strikes since October 7. Israeli officials report around 1,140 casualties in the Hamas-led October 7 attacks in southern Israel. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is set to travel to the Middle East to support talks on a new truce between Israel and Hamas, visiting Qatar, Egypt, Israel, the occupied West Bank, and Saudi Arabia. And in sports, Nigeria's under-17 girls Flamingos set off on another FIFA World Cup journey with a strong warning to opponents as they beat Central African Republic 6-0 in African's second round. First leg qualification game in Douala, Cameroon. Harmony Chidi opened the floodgates in the 5th minute. Priska Nwachukwu doubled Nigeria's goal with 6 minutes left in the first period at the Stade de la Reunification in Cameroon's second city. Chidi made it 2 and 3 for Nigeria in the 42nd minute before Shakirat Moshood also got on the act in the 45th minute, with Nigeria's fourth goal leading 4-0 at halftime. The 2022 FIFA World Cup bronze medalists refused to lift their feet off the pedal as Etim Edidiong made it 5 in the 57th minute and Shakirat Moshood got her brace in the 72nd minute to make it 6th for Nigeria. Central African Republic hosts her international matches in Cameroon as there is no FIFA-approved stadium for football matches in their own country. The return leg match will take place at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, on Friday, 9th February 2024. 2024 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup finals will be staged in the Dominican Republic. And on a lighter note, supporters of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, in Kano State have continued to celebrate the Supreme Court victory of Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf 3 weeks after the Apex Court ruling. While in the latest celebratory move, the governor's supporters have initiated a football tournament christened Justice Okoro's Cup. Here's the report.
Owing to the doses of celebrations, some groups of supporters, all in their youthful ages, have organized a local football tournament as the Justice Okoro Cup. Since the return of the governor, many individuals and groups have held celebration gatherings in their homes, neighborhood, and joints. Justice John Yang Okoro, who led a 5-member panel of the Supreme Court that delivered judgment on the Kano governorship dispute between Nasir Yusuf Gawuna of the All Progressive Congress and Abba Kabir Yusuf of the New Nigeria People's Party, is seen by an average Kano citizen as the savior of democracy who single-handedly gave the people what they wanted. Speaking on the development, one of the organizers of the tournament, Aliyu Balayaru, said the reason for organizing the tournament was to show love and appreciation to the judge for showcasing a high level of integrity. We organized this tournament just to celebrate and appreciate the Supreme Court judge who, against all odds, delivered judgment in the right direction and return what rightly belongs to us, the people of Kano State. That is why we organized this tournament, to appreciate him and show love and say thank you to him. We are really happy. This is indeed a way to show love and to show appreciation to God Almighty and the Supreme Court judges. The people of Kano have voted for their choice. Some people wanted to take it back, but the judges, especially Justice Okoro, did his best It was gathered that the tournament kicked off on Monday, 29 January 2024 and is expected to end by mid-February. 8 football clubs are expected to participate in 8 matches before the final match, where first, second and third place will be emerge and be honored, while Noodles Odenge officiates throughout the tournament. Salim Umari Prime, reporting for Trust TV.
And that wraps up the news hour on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across all of our social platforms and also our live stream on YouTube for more news programs and documentaries. I'm Sagir Ibrahim. Thanks for watching and have a good night.